So it is recording. So I'd like to thank everyone for coming for our last Started at Lunch session. Sorry for the issues a little earlier. But now today we're going to be having Kristina Latta. Did I pronounce that right?
No, but I love it. It's
Okay.
Latta, but I love latte.
Okay. It's a new drink at Starbucks. It's real great, right?
Yeah.
So we'd like to welcome her. And today she's going to give a presentation on the 8 dimensions of wellness and how gardening can be part of that, and to give a little bit of an overview on Healthy Hamilton. And she is the director of community programs at Envision Partnerships. So if you want to, you can take it away, Kristina.
All right. Well, Chelsea, thank you so much for all of your help. And thank you all for attending today. If you were within the last couple of minutes, you heard us discussing how we'll deal with this with the compressed time that we have. And honestly, especially because you've gotten some great introductions, if you've attended any of these prior to this one, then you've got a good overview of the 8 dimensions. So this is a little bit more interactive. I'm not going to be using a PowerPoint slide. I'm going to be going back and forth to a few different documents and things for you all to use. So my goal at the end of this is perhaps get your creative juices flowing a little bit and thinking about ways that you might want to incorporate the 8 dimensions into your own life, or into perhaps you're involved in a class or other sort of project. So you're welcome to use any of these ideas. And I'm always here and ready to help and assist if you so need it. So yes, I work at Envision Partnerships, and we are a prevention agency, and we prevent really high-risk behaviors is the goal. So we sort of talk about this in terms of 4 pillars of prevention. One of them is problem gambling. Another one is violence prevention, substance use prevention, and then suicide prevention. And we do work at the community level in schools, K through 12, and also college age schools, mostly in Butler County, but we do some work outside of the county as well. So where do we go from here in terms of the 8 dimensions? So preventing these high-risk behaviors, what does that look like? Well, I want to start just by saying that when people think of prevention, and especially if we're saying things like substance abuse, they might tend to tune out a little bit and think, oh, that doesn't apply to me, or that sort of those people or other people or things like that. And so one thing that's important is just to understand sort of the continuum of care is what we talk about. And across the whole continuum of care, which includes things like treatment and recovery, is health promotion. So no matter where you are within that, we're always trying to promote health. The other piece is that we do prevention that is universal, like everybody could use it. And we have this unfortunate circumstance right now called COVID, but it's also helpful for us in terms of talking about prevention, because everyone's talking about prevention, right? How do you not get this illness? So we're doing things like masking up, right? Things that we didn't think about before. A year ago, we would have all been in person, sitting, hopefully in the greenhouse or somewhere to be taking in all that light and the beauty. But here we're interacting through this media platform. So those are all ways that we are trying to negotiate around how to prevent ourselves from getting this illness. So taking this, we're applying it to high-risk behaviors. And another way to sort of think about it is we all experience stress, right? And we know that when we are stressed, let's say stressed for time, right? And we're thinking about eating healthy foods. Well, goodness, it's great to be able to chop up some lettuce and vegetables, make your own salad dressing. But maybe you're stressed on time and you don't have it. And so that's the day you end up going to, Chick-fil-A, right? And you're getting the convenient, quick food. So those things happen. But again, it's about that sort of long-term overall prevention. So the first thing I'm going to share with you is the document that really sort of helped kick us off on this 8 dimensions of wellness journey that we're on. And It is this one right here. So you've seen, again, if you've been a part of these before, that SAMHSA, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, is really who helped develop this idea of the 8 dimensions of wellness. And we think of, again, if you think of wellness, you oftentimes think of physical wellness, perhaps mental wellness is a bit more commonplace now to be thinking about that, spiritual wellness. And what SAMHSA has said is that really, if we want to build up those protective layers the best we can, knowing that we all experience stress in different forms on different days, if we look at these 8 different dimensions, we're never going to focus on just one of them, but we are going to focus on all of them at different times, a little bit more, a little bit less, depending on what our needs are. But if we neglect any one of them, we really feel it across our life, our overall wellness. And the more that we can even add a little bit to any one of them, our overall protective factors are going to get better as well. So we can see this 8 dimensions here. And again, I'm just showing you that this is sort of the document that got us started on this journey. So the next thing I want to share with you is something for fun. And I'm going to put it in the chat for you. So we decided to take that document, and we were using it in classrooms and a couple other locations. And a few years ago, we created an event called Healthy Hamilton. And Healthy Hamilton was really tied to a social marketing campaign that we led called Ask Your Doctor About Alternatives to Pain Medication. So it was a true counter to the opioid epidemic that was happening in our community. And so we were encouraging people to just start by asking your doctor, if you're in a position to where you might be getting a prescription narcotic, to ask about some alternatives that you could be taking. Things like physical therapy, massage therapy, acupuncture, things that we know work in that long-term and the long-term pain management, and then also in recovery from things like surgery or other injuries. So that's where that started, and it was a one-day event. This year, of course, because of COVID, we had to change things up a little bit. So I'll get into some of that in a minute, but I want to make sure that we have this resource available to you. We scoured the internet. We thought about, do we make one of our own little, wellness questionnaire? But we really thought that this one did the best job. It was free, it's available. Our only caveat was it's a little bit more adultish. So things like, asking a student if on the financial wellness end, if they're thinking about planning for retirement, doesn't really make sense, or if they're investing their money, doesn't really make sense. So because of the wide variety of clients or participants that we work with, we wanted to have 2 different versions, an adult version and a youth version. So again, I highly, highly recommend for you to go through and take this. It's fun, it's quick, and it breaks them down. So what's cool is as you go through these, each one of them, you get to the very end, and it actually gives recommendations for which of the dimensions to maybe give a little bit more attention to. So again, quick, fun, something to do with yourself, with your staff cohort, with students, whatever that might be. So again, we took this and then we created a youth version as well. So that youth version is, forgive me, right here. And Chelsea, can you see this fine as I click through? Okay, yes. Very good. So this is actually, we developed into a lesson plan that we also sent out to teachers during the spring, again, because of COVID. This is something that I've incorporated into some of the health classes that I teach in through this job, where I go in once a week and we're talking about life skills training. So this we use as a way to turn it into goal setting for students. and shared this out with everyone as well. So let me go through. I want to show you the youth version of our Healthy Hamilton 8 Dimensions of Wellness. Here we go. Okay. So again, Chelsea, you can see this, yes?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So this one we did create. So we took that one, again, that was more adult type questions. And this one we turned it into a youth version. So you can see here, if we look through, starting with our physical wellness, I have good personal hygiene. I eat a nutritious diet with plenty of fruits and vegetables. I do 30 minutes of cardio 3 to 5 times a week. I get regular dental and physical checkups. I get 7 to 8 hours of sleep each night, right? So that's physical wellness. And I won't read all of these. You can read them on here. But we broke it down, and you're just, you're getting a good idea. Yes, no, on average, yes, I'm getting good sleep, or on average, no, I'm not. And then we took these and provided something similar in terms of, okay, what's next then? So for students, for youth, they can get an idea of, okay, wow, I really need to work on a lot of these. Okay, need some work. I've got some of them, so doing pretty well. Or yeah, we're doing well, but there's always more to be focusing on. So again, that's just an opportunity to learn more. So here are some resources that then we also shared. And you can see a lot of them are, it's National Institute of Health, NIH, United Way. It's a lot of university resources as well. So these are good, high quality resources for people to start incorporating some of these wellness practices as well. And we really, really, really try to emphasize, again, it's not like I'm going 100% at the physical wellness, but I'm going to neglect my social wellness while I'm at it, right? So if I'm just running, I'm eating great vegetables, I'm doing all the things, but I'm really self-focused and not connecting with my family or not connecting with friends, that also plays an overall role in our wellness. So really that we've got to put some energy into each of these dimensions, that they're interrelated. All right. So let's fast forward. So the day of event, we've had Hamilton Urban Gardens come out. We've had G Foods come out, and they've had seeds available. Michelle Merritt has an just wonderful partnership with us over the last couple of years, where she does some education. Again, free seeds are available. I've been talking to Alfred Hall about, for this year, maybe doing something where we're actually teaching people how to make a garden box for their yard. So man, we were super excited. And then COVID hit. So we had to turn everything upside down and figure out, how are we going to do this? And at this point, December 2nd, a lot of people have sort of figured it out, which is great because we've had to adapt. But early June, we were really not so sure what we were going to do. So we decided to stretch it out a little bit. Instead of it being a one-day event, we made it into a week-long event. So June 6th was when it was planned. June 5th, by the way, this year is when we have it planned. So it's going to be June 6th, but instead we did June 6th through the 13th. And we've had some good fun with it. So I'm going to share with you the schedule. So we looked at different ways of doing this. And, do we focus on one day is financial, one day is environmental, et cetera. But just like I've been saying that you can't just have one, you really need to be focused on all of them. What we decided to do instead was to go to those partners and say, okay, where do we fit in? Where do you fit in? Where does the activity you were going to provide fit into these 8 dimensions? What's super awesome, and again, you've seen and heard, is partnering with Hugs. They're like, all 8 dimensions, all of them, right? Yes, that is so awesome. So there was a lot of learning for for our community within that as well. And some of them are very, much more specific. Like we did a faith panel with different faith leaders from around the community talking about how do you get through these difficult times? How do you keep faith in difficult times? That one very clearly was a spiritual wellness dimension. So we can look here, got things kicked off. We went out and bought a GoPro, and I got my GoPro on my helmet, and we went out to Markham Park, me and my dog, and did what we could to try to make it a little bit more entertaining as well. We did a scavenger hunt. So as you can see, on June 6th, we kicked off the event, did a scavenger hunt. So I'm going to pull the scavenger hunt up real quick. It was tough, by the way. It was difficult. And I'm sure I looked goofy as I was trying to take all these pictures because I was driving around Hamilton and I'd stop and then get out and take a picture of, one of these things. So, so we wanted to get, so the last couple of years, we've partnered with 17 Strong and the police department, the Hamilton Police Department, to offer a bike tour through the 17 neighborhoods. And we really did try to hit every one of the 17 neighborhoods in Hamilton. What was awesome about that, what's been so great about that event, is that it gets people on the streets in their bikes safely. People come out of their houses and see folks on bikes, and families, right? It's kids, it's adults. It's not just like, the folks on the bike trail that are going 20 miles an hour. But people come out on their porches and they're like, wow, folks are just riding their bikes down the road. The police helped by keeping it safe, obviously, keeping it closed off in the front and the end. So we would do a section, stop, and then the police would go and close off the streets ahead as we, got a sip of water, maybe talk to somebody at like Hugs or Booker T. Washington, and then they'd continue on. So we did it in a couple different sections. This year we were thinking about taking on a theme, and I'll share with you about that in a minute, because we did still do the tour, but we also did something where we could hit all of the 17 neighborhoods. So we included a scavenger hunt, and all of these things are available still. So if you ever wanted to use this in some other way, you're welcome to do it, or just steal the idea. We have this interactive map. So I went around, took pictures of all these places. There was one picture representing each of the 17 neighborhoods. Now I'm going to point one out here. And Chelsea, I'm going to call on you because I can hear your voice. All right, so this one here, can you see my cursor going around?
Yeah, I can see a little bit, yeah.
Can you see what that is?
I think it's plant matter.
Okay, it is plant matter, and there's a little red berry on it. There's a strawberry.
Oh, yeah, I can see it now.
So early June, Hamilton, Butler County, strawberry season. So someone might look at that and go, come on, seriously, you're going to take a picture of a plant and expect us to know where that is? Well, the point was that, we're incorporating some of the partners, again, to make sure. So it wasn't like random strawberry plant. It was Hugs, right? It was go to the urban garden and see it for yourself. So you might recognize some of these. Some of them are a little bit more, these little plaques. You got to get up close to see what they are to understand it. Some of them, if you look at it just in a small one, like the one I'm looking at right here, you might go, okay, if I'm thinking about it in a small version, I'm not going to be able to place it. But if we expand that out and recognize that it's about this big, oh, it's one of the medallions on the bridge, right, on the High Main Bridge. And then again, if you live in some of these neighborhoods, it might be, oh yeah, I know what that is. I've seen that before. And the other ones might be a little bit more difficult. So that's that. So we had a great fun with the scavenger hunt, and you could do it like a bingo card sort of, so you could go up and down, side to side. You didn't have to get all of them, but always bonus points if you get the whole card, right? All right. So again, like I said, we also called on our partners who we were planning on having at the event. So on June 7th, on the next day, we had Mindfulness. So Heather Reister from OSU Extension did a live, over Zoom kind of thing like this, mindfulness session where people could interact and get tools around that. We did a dam to dam river tour. So part of my background is rowing. One thing I've loved about every river I've been on, but especially in Hamilton, because it runs right down the center of the city, the downtown, is the perspective is totally different, right? So here's an example. When there's a concert happening at the amphitheater, the best place to listen is not right in front of the stage. It's under the bridge. And not like right under the bridge, but when you're out on the river, if you're in a kayak, if you're even walking on the trail, that's the best place to hear the music. The sound reverberates. So getting that perspective was just something that was, fun for people if they wanted to just see it. And again, that's recorded. People can go and see that still if they wanted to. We did an interview with Pet Wants. So Rachel and Chris from Pet Wants were able to talk about wellness for their pets and how pets help us with our wellness, right? The director of integrated care at Primary Health Solutions talked about mental health. PACS is a program that we help fund and get distributed around Butler County, but PACS literally means peace. But PACS tools, community, they're evidence-based practices that can be used at a community level, meaning it could be in your house, if you've got kids. You can use them like if you're a coach or not really a teacher. There's one that's specific for teachers, but if you're like an after school or a daycare teacher, things like that. So that was a great resource to learn about those tools that we know are trauma-informed, evidence-based, et cetera. Sparks, again, has to do with the 40 developmental assets. So finding your spark, finding the thing that ignites you, that gets you really excited. So that was a conversation with someone here, actually, Jamie Simpson. We did suicide prevention. QPR stands for question, persuade, refer. And we're doing those, by the way, ongoingly. The QPR, free for the community. We're posting them out, often, making those available because they're really needed. Ricky Lux from US Bank, who's helped us again for the past several years, talked about banking and ID fraud. Man, I learned so much in that. He was just awesome. And they offer free for the community banking education programs all the time too. So a lot of it was also just letting people know what are the resources that are available in the community besides having just, a table and handing stuff out and having a conversation. But really, let's provide you with some tools. Let's get our hands dirty. Let's get in there, right? Let's participate in it, even if it had to be virtual. So then we did, the 8 dimensions in gardening with Michelle Merritt and Alfred, and that was great fun. I have like so much video footage of going around and getting interviews, and it's, if you've been over there, if you've spent time in the garden, that you think you're going to stop in for 10 minutes, and then an hour passes. You're talking, you're looking, you're observing, you're jumping in and helping out. So that was so much fun. Again, the PACS tools, that was the actual workshop piece of it where you got the tools. The other one was just the intro. The faith panel, and again, most of these things are still available. If you wanted to go check them out, you could. So keeping the faith in difficult times. We had trivia night, and Ian Mackenzie Thurley was our host for that. And if you don't know Ian, you should, but I'm sure, not even knowing who's on this, I'm sure most of you know Ian. But he was the perfect host for that event. And again, we did it over Zoom. We used something called Kahoot. I'm guessing most of you know what Kahoot is, but if you don't, it's a free interactive trivia that you can use. And teachers really like using it because it's a quick way to get your finger on the pulse of understanding. Are people understanding this or not? So we used Kahoot. We had prizes for the winners. It was great fun. And it was Butler County trivia. Staying well in difficult times, Joanna Lowry from the Butler County Mental Health and Addiction Recovery Services Board presented about that. Michelle, again, helped us out with talking about produce and produce in the grocery store versus produce that's homegrown or at least grown, organically in a garden. Talked about that. That was great. We did the Fit and Family running group is sort of not really affiliated with the Fit and Family Y. But we met over the Fit and Family Y and we did a run challenge over there. So it sort of got kicked off with that. And the challenge went on for the next month. And so it was things like running up Hermé Hill, running when it was raining outside, things like that. So again, it's not who's the fastest, who can go the farthest, but it's ways to get people engaged at whatever level they're at, whatever level you're at. And then the bike tour. So I mentioned that briefly. I'm going to pause it there for a second because I actually will show you a little portion of the video. So then we took what the program was and used those color-coded emblems to show which of the dimensions each one of them was focused on. So as you can see, we really wanted to spread it out. Some of them, there was one, others, there were clearly several. And these have, again, a little bit more description to each one of them as well, and the links if people wanted to see them again. So several of these we were able to keep. The other cool thing about going virtual, when you have the opportunity to go face to face, of course you want to do that. But I think one thing we've all learned from this experience is when you're able to at least offer a virtual option, you tend to get more people involved as well. I know personally for us, it's been really fascinating to see who ends up getting the information. So we've had folks join in on some of our things that would normally just be, people from our community from Butler County, and they're joining us from Columbus, from Cleveland. We had someone from Colorado who joined in. It's interesting. So for your own self, if you're someone who is organizing these things, it took some work, but it definitely paid off, I think, to have this virtual option. And I think we're gonna want to do this in the future as well. So always, if we can do it face to face, let's make that happen. But then to have some virtual options, and that also extends out who can participate based on whatever kind of, if it's a disability, illness, availability, they can still participate. So that was sort of that piece of it. I'm going to stop sharing this, and I want to pull up one of the bike tour videos. And there's not going to be sound, and that's okay. I'm not going to show it for a real long time. But I just wanted to share so you could see. All right. So we did it in 3 parts. And we decided to focus on the historic neighborhoods of Hamilton. So we did the first one was Rossville, second one was German Village, and the third one was Dayton Lane. And again, you could see these again too if you want. So this was actually one of the stops. Chelsea, can you hear this at all?
No.
Okay, good. Then I will put it on mute since you can't hear it anyways. So starting over in Rossville, pool house, we actually, this is the father's house. And our first year of doing the 17 neighborhood bike tour, we stopped there for an ice cream stop. So it was great to sort of pull them in and tie it back into that. It'll be easier to see. for the bike tour in case people wanted to do their own bike tour. So again, me on my bike with the helmet and the camera and just, you make it happen. You do whatever you can to make things work, right? We also became, as you can see, amateur video editors. So Wondershare Filmora or Filmora Wondershare is what we ended up purchasing. If you are finding yourself in a need to do video editing, it's really intuitive. I'm not getting paid for that, of course, but just sharing how we did it. The screen as you go, you're like, whoa, you can feel it. So going over the bridge here, we're getting a view of the city. About the bike tour again is just being able to see different parts of the city and getting people out of their comfort zones in a safe and fun way. So let me see, I think there's so the main thing, and I did have another video I wanted to show, but because you can't hear the sound, it's not worth it. But that video was at the beginning of all of these where you can just see a good description. It's like a 4-minute video where it describes the dimensions of all 8 dimensions of wellness in a really easy, palatable kind of way. So we are right in the middle of a overhaul of our website. So if you go here in a couple of weeks, it's going to look totally different. But this will still be here. This is the 8 dimensions of wellness. And this is that video. So the link is embedded into our website if you want to go and check it out. Yeah, it's 3 minutes and 40 seconds long. Not long at all. And then the other thing we did right before Healthy Hamilton is we did a creative arts contest as well. And that was great. We did it with for adults and for youth. And you might be surprised, but we actually did get adults to participate as well, and that was great fun. All right, so that is an overview of ways to creatively integrate the 8 dimensions of wellness into some activities that made it fun and available for many people, hopefully, as many as possible. But also how we get a little creative in taking it from a one-day event into a multi-day interactive, but mostly online version of it. Again, I know that you've learned a whole lot if you've participated in these lunch and learns up to this point, but I would be more than happy to answer any questions that we have.
Great. Thanks, Kristina. That was wonderful.
I will stop sharing because you might need that.
Okay, so if anyone has any questions for Kristina, you can put it in the chat.
I can't hear you, Chelsea.
Oh. I'm not muted. Let's see.
Say it again.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
now?
Good.
Yeah, okay. All right, so if anyone has any questions for Kristina, you can put them in the chat and we can have her answer them. We'll wait a little bit on that. So do you ever tend to, I'll have my question, but do you tend to like try and keep track of like how many people participate in it? Did you find like that the virtual made a huger impact for the participants?
Oh yeah. I mean, and that's what I think is our overall takeaway is it's not an either or. I feel like at this point, I think at this point, we're going to try to do both and, because getting people just no matter what in any normal year, having a Saturday event in June, you're competing with
Right.
30 other things. I mean, it's tough. And it doesn't matter if it's free, if it's whatever, people get lots of things to walk away with. There's always something else that's going on, whether it's just normal yard work or, a kid's game or whatever. So I think we're going to try to do both this upcoming year. I will say that the most successful event year after year has been the 17 neighborhood bike tour. So I think we'll try to bring that back and do it, in real life, live this year.
Great. Yeah. I mean, even with me, different webinars, it's just opened up much more resources, at least personally for me, to attend and get a lot of like education, information. And even if I kind of like stack the webinars on top of each other, they get recorded. So then I can go back, visit again. And if I just forget something, it's already there. So it's really good. And even like classes, like getting my pesticide license renewed, like it's made it way easier than trying to figure out like go to different conferences or anything like that, and trying to get the codes and stuff like that to get enough credits. I feel it's really improved how we do all this right now. But yeah, definitely like trying to like have more interaction with people might help a little bit. Hopefully things will get better so we can be in person.
Yeah. And I think the other thing that was helpful is learning from, both participating or being able to see it afterwards. So a lot of them we did recorded. There were only a couple things we did live. And I think we thought about doing more on like Facebook Live at the front end, but when you're doing them outside, if the internet's not like really, really good, it's spotty. It just wasn't great. But instead you can do, it's called Facebook Premiere, where you record it ahead of time. You still set a time for like, okay, it's going to go at this time. So it launches as if it's live, but then it also just stays there forever. So you can go back to it, it's recorded, et cetera. And we just found for the overall quality that was better. But what it also allowed me to do is to not just be the host, right? But I could record it, and then I could be sitting there sort of interacting with people as they're watching it to see what they think and to be able to answer questions and stuff like that. And I think that was really helpful for planning for next year, to understand what were the more popular ones, what were less popular, what were things like that banking and ID fraud that it was so helpful, but there was hardly anyone there. So like, what were the barriers to that? And anybody who's trying to get people to come, attend their whatever, it's helpful to know what those barriers are.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. All right. Still nothing in the chat yet.
All right, I'm going to put in two things then, if that's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
For everyone. So this is the first one. So our Healthy Hamilton event this year will be June 6th. I'm saying that, but let me triple check that it's the right. I think I have, yeah. That's great that I did that. I wish I could take that back. Okay, so it was June 6th is when we started this year. It's June 5th this year, June 5th. Okay. So it's Saturday, June 5th, 2021. And then the other thing I wanted to add was that resource that is the adult version of the wellness quiz. Just make sure that everyone encourage it. It's fun. There you go.
Nice. Cool. All right. Cool.
So Chelsea, in the future, are these held in the greenhouse?
Yeah, usually they're in the classroom. We have a little classroom there inside the atrium. And we would normally host it there, but because of the circumstances, trying to keep
Yeah.
people safe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's got to be a beautiful place to work and to be able to do that.
Yes, yes, yes. It's always nice. It's nice and warm too.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Anyone else? Still nothing in the chat.
That's all right.
That's all right. Have so has there been quite more people having issues, obviously, probably with the pandemic than normally? Has there been
Yeah,
quite a
we're
bit?
seeing, yeah, it's been interesting. And one thing so we host the Butler County Suicide Prevention Coalition I mean, we've got members who are doing all kinds of work across the county, and just private citizens who are interested in suicide prevention. But it's been interesting because there's been a lot of reports that suicides are up during the pandemic, which I think, talking about all that mental health piece of it makes sense. But what's interesting is that the data does not actually bear that out. So there actually hasn't been an increase of suicides locally, which is really good, right?
Mhm.
But what we have seen and starting to see is a bit more of that resurgence of drug overdoses, specifically opioids. So we are seeing a bit more of that. The other thing that happens, no matter what, if there's a downturn in the economy, if there's pandemic, if there's whatever it is alcohol sales always go up. So we definitely, have been seeing that as well. What's been difficult, especially for children's services, is that with kids out of schools, where kids
Right.
would normally have touch points with counselors and teachers and nurses, everything from, preventive health care, like Primary Health Solutions has, those community health centers in
Right.
the schools,
Right.
to just being able to talk through maybe difficulties at home, or you hope that this never happens, but it certainly does. If there's signs of abuse, that a conversation would happen with a kid. Those conversations, those touch points are a lot less. And so it looks like all of those reports are way down, but we know that it's just because they're not being reported.
Right, right. Yeah. There's no outlet for those kids, Usually they didn't come into school, they'd have some kind of escape, I'm assuming, at least for a little bit, from abuse and stuff like that. So I can just imagine.
Well, and
So,
that's why it's been so important for our local school districts to get meals out to people,
mhm.
to families, but then also, um, I know it's always hard to decide. I mean, I've just been so grateful I'm not a decision maker through this time period, right?
Right.
Whew. But making decisions about keeping schools open or keeping schools closed there's trade-offs on both sides.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah, you want to keep everyone safe at the same time. It's just that social interaction now that, especially for kids in that situation to kind of release, whether it's just being able to talk to someone or going and doing like their sports or their club or something, just having that,
Mhm.
extra thing that keep you going, really. So
Mhm.
yes, I can definitely imagine, and probably cases will probably increase if when we start having more regular school time, I'm assuming probably. Definitely. All right. We have about 4 more minutes. If anyone has any questions or have any kind of topic they might want to ask about for Kristina.
Well, I've really appreciated your questions too, Chelsea.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Thank
definitely.
you.
Welcome. Yeah, because I know like my mom, she works for the school districts. So trying to do everything, through these virtual meetings with like IEPs and ETRs definitely has been really difficult. I know for her and a lot of the, the teachers and faculty, trying to keep everything, up to date. I know it's been very difficult for them. Or if like a kid just disappears, it's like, where's this child? I know that's been very difficult for them. Definitely.
Yeah, like I said, I'm glad that I'm not in a decision-making role, right?
Right.
But man, we and everybody else has just been trying to connect whatever way possible, just like you all have done, like let's take this virtual, let's get people involved anyways. And who knows, especially with the lunch and learn, maybe you've got folks who are excited that they can just sit there and, close their door and eat their lunch and
Oh yeah. I'm hoping that at least, if nothing else, people learn a little bit of something, from these learn it at lunches.
yeah.
Definitely.
Do you usually do a theme every year?
Oh, well, actually, this is the first time I've hosted the Learn It at Lunch
Wow.
series. Yeah, so trying to do this all virtually. You know, yeah, but I don't know exactly what they were hosting last time for the Learn at Lunch. I'm assuming they were probably a lot of walkabouts around campus and a lot about plant, health and identification, probably a lot of that. So I think it's kind of fitting with how things have been going that a lot of the webinars I've been hosting have been about the 8 dimensions of wellness. I think that kind of fell kind of right in the right spot right
Yeah.
now for everything that's been going
That's
on.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
And those, walkabouts, I know it's tough, you can't be bringing people together into a big crowd, but certainly
Right.
as much as we can to walk around and slow down and observe. And, those are great tools to be teaching anyone to use at any time, but certainly as a way to reduce stress right now is to get
Right.
out and again, just be in nature.
Right. Yeah. And I did have like a little virtual tour I did earlier
Nice.
during this. Yeah. So I did like a little Zoom and I used my phone so that I could walk around with it and show people at least the conservatory and all the different plants. So I did have like a little virtual tour earlier. So yeah. All right. So I don't
Pretty
see
cool.
any questions or anything. And it's 1 o'clock, so I will stop the recording.